So again, we're still not down with lesson 6.1. In fact, we have another day of notes we're going to take in this because there's just so many things we need to make sure we know how to do with this stuff. So a reminder, an expression is not simplified. Finish that statement for me, Faith.
When it has 0 or negative exponents.
Yeah, an expression is not simplified when it still has 0 or negative exponents in it. If you think you're done with simplifying an expression, you better take one more look at it, one more glance at it, and make sure it does not have anything being taken to the 0 power or anything left in it being taken to a negative power. Okay, so let's start practicing right away here. How could I rewrite m to the negative 2 power, because I got to get rid of that negative power? 1 over m to the positive 2 power. Okay. Now, can I do anything else? Do I have any other simplifying I could do? Are there any negative powers left now? No. Are there any powers of 0? No. So can we really figure out what value m squared is? Do they tell us what they want m to be this time? No. So this is our simplified expression. So if we're told to simplify an algebraic expression, and we have to follow that rule, no 0 or negative exponents, this should be the answer we did in the answer bank. All right, let's move on to the next one. We have to be really careful though. Sometimes we like to take things that don't need to be simplified and mess with them, and we don't need to. Okay? So we have a product going on here, don't we? What are the factors in this product right here, number 2? What are the factors in that product? No idea, really. 2 is a factor. X to the negative 1 power is a factor. So we have a multiplication problem going on. We have that invisible, what we really have here is an invisible multiplication symbol that just didn't get shown. So we really have a factor of 2, and we have a factor of x to the, that's a negative sign there, negative 1 power. So now, is 2 being raised to a 0 power or to a negative power? No. It's being raised to the first power, really, isn't it? And 2 to the first power is what? 2. So it's just going to stay 2. There's no reason to mess with that one. And I'm making a big deal of it because here's what your brain wants to do. It wants to start messing with everything because you just feel like, well, I'm supposed to, do this to get it looking different. And so then we're going to multiply by x to the negative 1 power. Does it need to be renamed? What could we rename it as then? 1 over to the positive 1 power, yeah. Now, maybe we should put that 2 over 1 so that we have a fraction also, since we have a different fraction to work with, and now we will multiply across. 2 times 1 across the top is 2. 1 times x to the first power. X to the first power, but then we can clean that up and make it x. We don't need to show that first power, do we? Before we stop and circle it and say done, we ask ourselves the question, are there any 0 exponents? Any negative exponents? Anything I can do? Can I really do any dividing here? Can you divide 2 by x? Not unless you know what x is, right? And we don't know what it is, so we can't. Okay, why don't you try number 3 on your own and see how it goes. Try number 3. So show me how it goes from what it is to its simplified name. Okay, who's the brave souls you come here and do it for us? Unless you know it's right, huh? I'm not gonna tell you what yours is right.
Volunteer as tribute.
You're gonna volunteer?
I volunteer as tribute.
You volunteer as tribute? I don't know what that means.
Hunger Games reference.
Okay, cool. Also, they explain it to me later on, good, you know, I'm just good at that, you know. I've never seen those movies, they're good movies. You guys know that?
How do I write?
No, you put some pens in, there you go. Who said my job was easy? Oh, our little A just became capital, okay. Good deal. And that's a B down there still, right?
Yeah.
It just got shrunk, okay. Anybody have the same answer as no one else? Kayla does. Laura does. Doesn't seem to be the popular answer. Okay, what other answers are hanging around out there? Abby? So like that. Anybody else? Anybody have Abby's? Well, then that's only, we're up to 4 of you that have shared an answer. Give me another answer that we have. Come on. We need to explore all options here. Right now, you know, we go with the majority usually is right. Right now, we don't have a right answer. Devontae, do you have a different one?
5A over B8.
So 5A over B8.
Or B to the power of 8. Or how do you say that?
Yeah, B
Yeah,
to the
B
power
to
of
the
8, you
power.
could say, or B to the 8th power. So what, okay, so I don't have it the way you want it, so I'm gonna try again. You wanna say it again for me?
5A over B to the 8th power.
So like that, okay? Anybody have that? Okay, now we got 5 of these covered, okay. Calvin, I'd love to have you share yours with us.
1 over A to the 5th power, and then 1 over B to the 8th power.
So like that,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Anybody have what Calvin has? Hands up, come on. I don't, this, I'm not sure if you're shaking your head. Yes or no? Oh, and now I have to call on you. Okay. Well, now we're up to 6 of you. Oh, we got 4 to go. Okay. Aurora, what do you have? Were you one of them that had Noah's? Okay. How about you, Faith? What do you have? Same as who? As Calvin. Oh, so you couldn't raise your hand, is it? Did you get a shot today too, and yours is sore like mine? Oh, okay. So, how about you, Michaela?
I'm with Noah.
You were with Noah all along. Tori, how about you? Oh, now we got 4 people instead of 3. Seriously, are you kidding me? You guys are 10th graders, and this is what I'm having to deal with? You can't raise your hand when you really do have the same answer as somebody else? I'm recording this, my having to get after you for something so ridiculous. Claren, what do you have? You think it's the green one? Okay. Julia, did you?
I have something different.
Something different? Yeah, what's yours, hon?
A to the 5th power over 1, and then 1 over B to the 8th power.
Like that? Okay. Well, there's, you know what, there's lots of right answers up here, but there is something that's, you know, a couple of them that are wrong also. So, some people just did not finish. First of all, the ones who have that answer, a to the 5th over b to the 8th, they're the ones who are correct. But then there's some more of you that are also, if you would have just finished, okay? So here, if this is your answer, we actually need to just finish it. Maybe this was not ever over 1, but you could put it over 1, and a to the 5th times 1 is what? A to the 5th. And 1 times b to the 8th is b to the 8th. We just need to finish it. That's all. So you get the same answer. How about this one? Is 5a the same as a to the 5th? No, they can't really even switch them around. It's like 5a, I need to know, does 5a mean the same thing as a to the 5th? 5 times a is not, is it? What does a to the 5th mean? A times itself, we got 5 a's. 5 times a means take the number 5 times a. So we would have to say, unfortunately, that this is not right. That would have to be incorrect. Okay, how about this one right here? What happened here that should not have happened?
You didn't take a time. You didn't put
Finish
A
it?
5 over 1.
Well, but a to the 5th is downstairs. So what's wrong with it?
It's not negative, so
Supposed to be
Okay, it was not a negative power, was it? So if it's not a negative power, are we going to mess with it? No, we don't need to mess with it if it's not a negative power. We do not write it like this. It would have to be up here because it was positive all along. Don't mess with it. And this one, what would happen? If we took a to the 5th times 1, wouldn't we get a to the 5th?
Yep.
And if we took 1 times b to the 8th, wouldn't we get b to the 8th? See, you just didn't finish either. You have the right answer, just not finished is all. Okay? So, I won't do this every time because but I need to help you see where are we, going wrong. What are we got to finish them. We can't rename things that don't need to be renamed. Those are all the things that we have to pay attention to. Okay? So, let's do this next one together. -3 times x to the -2 power times y to the -3 power. How about that -3? It's negative. Do we have to rename it? No, because it's not to a negative power, and it's not to the 0 power, is it? So we're going to leave -3 as -3. We're not going to mess with it. And then we're going to multiply by, do we need to mess with the x to the -2 power?
Yep.
Yeah, what are we going to do with it?
Put it under 1.
over x to the
Yeah, 1 over x to the 2nd power. And then our next one is y to the -3. Do we need to rename that one? 1 over y to the 3rd. Well, now since 2 of our factors are fractions, we might as well make our first factor into a fraction also. And now we just finish the problem. Now we actually multiply. We have fractions times each other. So numerator times numerator times numerator. -3 times 1 times 1.
-3.
-3. And 1 times x squared times y cubed.
X squared, y 3.
X squared, not y3, y to the 3rd power or y cubed, yeah. And then, they probably won't even show it in an answer bank like this because what's true? When we have negative signs involved in our fraction, Aurora?
If they don't cancel out, you have to put it in front of the fraction.
Yeah, so you just move it out front of the fraction and you have your numerator and your denominator both positive. And make sure your fraction, oopsie nice. Make sure your fraction bar is long enough to cover the longer denominator that we have. Okay? There's our final answer. So we got to keep going till we get how we're going to see it in an answer bank. Okay, now when we get to this next one, we're going to kind of like take what we call a shortcut because I can complicate this for you, but I really don't want to. So let's remember that property that said when you have a negative, so we got powers within a fraction here, right? When you have a negative power upstairs, what happens to it? How do we make it positive?
If there's a thing.
Move it downstairs. If you have a negative power downstairs, how do you make it positive? You move it upstairs. That's all you got to do, right? So we're going to say 4, and we're going to have the n to the -4 power come up and become a positive 4. So basically what's going to happen is these guys right here, they're going to trade places. but then they're gonna become positive, aren't they? So the n to the negative 4 is gonna move upstairs, so it'll be positive. The m to the negative 2 is gonna move downstairs, so it's positive. And then we'll see if there's anything else we need to do. What do you think? Kelvin, what do you think? Is there anything else we need to do?
Yeah.
Like what? What do you wanna do?
Well, I don't know. You could put, do you want to separate the M and the N?
Well, remember, here's the question we're gonna ask ourselves. Is there anything we can actually, are there any zero exponents left? Or in there? Anything to the 0 power? No. Anything to a negative power anymore? Is there anything we can actually divide out? Can we take n's and divide them by m's? N's divided by m's, can we do that? No. Is there anything downstairs to divide that 4 by? No. So guess what? That's it. We're done. We're done. Okay. Let's start with the numerator, okay? This 5, should it move downstairs? No, it's not being taken to a negative power. How about that a to the 0 power? What can that be renamed as? 1. Okay. What about that b to the negative 2 power? Just that part's going to move down, isn't it? Okay. So for right now, we think that's all that's upstairs. We're going to move that b squared downstairs, we said. How about that 7? Should it move? Okay. How about that c? Should it move? Why not?
Because it does negative exponents.
Not to a negative power. So don't need to move it. Don't mess with it, right? So what do we end up with? 5 times 1 upstairs. It's just 5. And downstairs, just because in answer banks and algebra, remember algebra how it likes things, it likes the constants first, right? And then what is it like after that? Alphabetical order. What comes first in the alphabet, C or B? B. So we're going to have 7, because it's a constant, it gets to come first. B's come before C's in the alphabet, so we put our B squared next, and then we put our C. And then before we quit, we say, is it simplified? Can I take 5 and divide it by 7 nicely? No. Are there any 0 powers left in our answer? Are there any negative powers left in our answer? No, then we're ready to say, okay, I got it as good as I can get it. Okay, our next one. You know what I'm going to suggest that we do with this one first, is I want us to, because when we have variables that can be moved out to the side, that means they could have actually been upstairs in a fraction. So we have this fraction here, so let's do this. Let's have that r to the negative 2 power and that p to the positive 3 power come up, come upstairs with that numerator. They got moved out. Let's bring them back. And then we just have our denominator of 4. Okay, what can we do? What should we do? What shouldn't we do?
We should move the r to the negative 2nd power downstairs.
So you're thinking this can come down, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that needs to move? Nope. The 3 is not to a negative power. The p cubed is not to a negative power. The 4 is not to a negative power, so it shouldn't move up, should it? Needs to stay down there. And the r to the negative 2, we said we're moving that down so we can make it positive. How do you feel? Do you think we're done? Okay, because 3 divided by 4, is that a whole number? No. How about any negative exponents? 0 exponents? None of those? Okay, then we would say this one's done. Questions? Any of these you want to go back and say, I still don't understand why we did that? Okay, let's go back then. What do we got going on back there? Evaluate, substitute first, then follow order of operations. So you did this already for today, didn't you? Did we do some evaluating? So this should be quick. We are going to put 2 in for Z. Does 2 have to go in parentheses?
No,
No. Why not?
because it's not a negative.
Not a negative base. Okay, so how can we rewrite 2 to the negative 5 power?
1 over 2 to the 5th power.
You're getting there. Okay, 2 to the 5th power. And 2 to the 5th power is, anybody do your power tables? 2 to the 5th power is 32. So 1 over 32. Is that as good as it's going to get? It is. Okay. Okay, our next one. Substitute 6 in for y. So we have 4 plus 6. That's going to be raised to the 0 power. Follow order of operations. Order of operations says do exponents first or parentheses first? Parentheses first. So 4 plus 6 is 10. So we have 10 to the 0 power,
Which is just equals 1.
which equals 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1 except what?
Negatives.
No, negatives even are 0. Okay, Michaela.
Do we even have to like show that work if we see that 0 because you automatically know that it's going to be 1?
Okay, you do just for this reason only. Here's the only reason that you have to, because if y, what would y be that would create a problem? What if, give me a number that if y, they said y was this, it would create a problem.
Negative 4.
Negative 4, because 4 plus negative 4 is 0,
0.
and can we take 0 to the 0 power? No, so then we wouldn't say our answer is 1, would we? We would have to say our answer is undefined, because you can't divide by 0. So we do kind of need to, yeah. Okay, good question though. Okay, let's do this next one. We're going to do 3/4, and we're supposed to put in an 8 for x, and take it to the negative 2 power. So we should do our multiplication first, right? Okay. So we can make 8 into a fraction by putting it over 1. What can we do? Do you want to multiply first and then simplify, or simplify first and then multiply? Okay, let's simplify first. Okay, how can we? Cross 4 out, okay? And the 8 becomes 2, okay? So what do we end up with? 6 to the negative 2 power. Well, does our 6 even need to be in parentheses? Doesn't have to be, but does it hurt? No, because so it's not to a negative. So now what are we going to rename that? 1 over 6 to the 2nd power, and that is equal to
1 over 36.
1 over 36. Okay. Couple more and then we're done here. Number 11. We're going to do A is 1/4, so we have 5 that's going to get multiplied by times 1/4, and then we have a B that's going to be, so it's going to be multiplied by 12, and then all of that's going to be taken to the negative 2 power. Okay, so there's this little property called the commutative property of multiplication that really tells us what? What can we do?
You can put 5 over 1 and 12 over 1.
Well, we can make those into fractions, but that's not the commutative property. The commutative property says you can, no, you can multiply in any order you want. So I was going to try and multiply without making these into fractions, but I think I better just leave them all. You can tell. Okay, let's put them over 1. You're right, let's just do it. Okay, what can we do?
Simplify 4 and 12.
Okay, so the 4 cancels and the 12 becomes 3. So what do we end up with here?
15 over 1.
15 over 1. Okay. And that's really the same as 15 to the negative 2 power. What's that going to be now? What's our next one? 1 over 15 to the positive 2 power. I don't know if our power tables did have 15 in them, did they? Anybody know what 15 squared is without your calculator? 225. Is that what your answer was too? Okay, so equals 1 over 225. Okay, now, the next one's, just a little bit trickier. We have to make sure that we're kind of careful in this one. We have a 10 times, we're going to have x raised to the negative 2 power, which is 10 raised to the negative 2 power. And then times our y, which is a negative 2, and it's being raised to a power, so what do we have to do with that negative 2? Put it in parentheses, and then take it to the negative 4 power. Okay, so now, does that 10 need to be renamed? No, we can make it into a fraction though by putting it over 1, right? How about this one? What do we rename that as? 1 over 10 to the second. What could we rename the next one as? To the positive 4 power. Okay. 10 over 1, we'll just leave you alone. What's 1 over 10 squared? 1 over 100. What's negative 2 to the 4th power? A negative, an even number of times becomes a positive, and 2 to the 4th is 16. Okay? This might be a good one to just multiply maybe across and simplify in the end. Okay? 10 times 1 times 1? 10. 1 times 100 times 16. 1600, right? 1,600. How can we simplify this now easily?
Just cross out the zeros.
Cross out the 0 out of each of them, and our answer is 1 over 160. Gosh, we've run out of time. Okay.